pro-abortion people get confronted, and this seems to specifically happen outside of abortion facilities, they stick their tongue out and they literally start gnashing and wailing like a demon is being exorcised from their body. And so when you deny creation, when you deny divine creation, and when you deny the creator, and when you deny God and a higher power, you're opening yourself up to Satan, unwittingly or wittingly. And so you become a pawn of evil, whether you realize it or not. And so that's why so much of what we see is driven by hatred, the blindness of people, the denial of truth. It's all driven from a place of hatred. And when you don't appreciate the divine creation and the gift of life that we have, you start to develop a hatred, you start to develop a resentment because nothing matters to you. And so absolutely the spiritual battle is won. They don't even hide it anymore when they have their satanic rituals on TV seemingly every weekend now, just blatantly worshiping the devil. It's not even subtle anymore. It's blatantly in your face. And then it says brought to you by Pfizer. And we all know what has happened recently with these vaccines that Bill Gates says need to be used to control the global population. So you're absolutely right. It's the dichotomy of man. It's been documented throughout human history, the battle of good versus evil. And if you deny God and if you deny creation, then inherently you're denying that such a thing exists. You're denying that there's good. You're denying that there's evil. And so therefore you can become an instrument of evil and you wouldn't even recognize it.
Well, of course, if you're going to deny God, then you deny that men are men, women are women. You deny virtually any fact, 2 + 2 = 4. Talking about you getting assaulted, I think Ben has a clip of some of the times that you've been attacked. I think I wanted to try and show that. Do you know what clip we can get them to show?
Let's go with, I got one here called Tank and InfoWars Enemy of the People. Let's look at that one real quickly. But you confronting, Owen, some of these leftists out on the street is how I discovered who you are, and it was before you ever worked for InfoWars. I saw a clip, you're going to know who this is, a blast from the past, Aid Skrillex, and you're, he's shaking his head, he knows, he's nodding, he knows who I'm talking about, but you're out there, you're kind of going back and forth with him, and I remember just being flabbergasted, because at the time I did think that maybe these people can be reasoned with, right? That maybe it's possible to change their mind through some kind of structured discourse, when in reality, that's not the case. They're unreasonable, they're demonic, they hate truth, they hate God. But my point is, though, watching you interact with them, like I said, I hadn't been exposed to that before. So we did an interview. You probably don't remember because you've done a lot of interviews, I'm sure, but it was back in 2016. I interviewed you on a podcast I was doing just to talk about that. But yeah, let's play this clip here so we can show the audience give them a little taste of what you've done in terms of confronting these freaks head on.
When this thing first started, what did they say? COVID was the most deadly thing that's ever hit this country. It's going to be the next plague. The numbers are in. It's less deadly than the seasonal flu. And now our governor and our city council want to re-shut down the economy. They want to make you wear a mask that doesn't even stop COVID.
This is the most racist crap I've ever seen in my life. Congratulations, dude. What did you accomplish?
InfoWars! Enemy of the people! InfoWars! Enemy of the people! InfoWars! Enemy of the people! InfoWars! Hey, it's getting loud in here. Yeah. InfoWars! Yeah. Enemy of the people! Yeah, InfoWars! Yeah. Enemy of the people! Yeah. InfoWars! Yeah. Enemy of the people!
Oh, and as this guy is running up to you and he's regurgitating his NPC nonsense, what's going through your head when you're in a confrontation like that?
Well, I in that situation, that particular situation, I was already a seasoned veteran, and so I kind of knew how to deal with these people, and I did have security with me that day. And I'm a pretty good reader of people as well. I can tell when there's a serious situation or if there's a guy like that who just wants to puff up his chest. And, I just got to say, too, before I answer the question,
sure.
He comes up to me, he starts saying, enemy of the people, enemy of the people. Man, you're not going to meet a more person of the people than me. I mean, it's just I'm maxed out for the people. Like it's everything they say about me is a lie. And they never want to actually have reasonable discourse with me because they know they'll be completely picked apart, dissected, and smashed down to smithereens. But to answer your question, I am actually an extremely impatient person, and I've had to develop that. I've had to develop that patience throughout my life. It's funny because my mom used to talk to me about this, and she'd be saying, "Owen, you know what?" She'd say, God is testing you with this impatience for something later in your life. She said, you need to learn patience. And it was something she always told me. And maybe this was it. Maybe this was it. But like I said, you're saying that you've never seen anything like that. Really, nobody has. I mean, nobody went out and just for hours on end would sit there with a microphone and catch liberals foaming at the mouth and then in real time challenging their intellect and proving that it doesn't exist. So, it was never, I was always trying to bring the people together. I was always trying to unify. That was always the goal. I was stunned when I found that people weren't interested in that. And I was stunned at the level of hatred that people had. I'd only experienced that from people that loved abortion throughout the years because I've always been pro-life politically and attended the pro-life march in D.C. Before I was really even interested in politics. But, like I said, I can't even do this content anymore, which is what most people like the most of the stuff that I've done in my life, of all the live shows and presentations and rallies and protests. That is the most popular stuff, is my street videos going out and confronting the liberals head on. But I can't even do that anymore. Every time I go out now, I get assaulted. Every time. And because of some legal situations I'm in right now, if I get arrested, basically for a certain probation I have for my political persecution, if I get arrested, there's no questions. They lock me up, throw away the key. So I can't go out there. I can't get in a confrontation. I can't wind up in a situation where I might have to defend myself and end up getting arrested. So I got to be a really good boy. I got to be a really good boy as I'm being politically persecuted, and I've had my First Amendment and my rights violated here. This is what happens when you live in a banana republic and a communist totalitarian tyranny. But this is what we're fighting, and this is why we're fighting it. And people will be made an example. And I have it good compared to other people with the political persecution they're dealing with in this country. But, in that particular video, again, it's just like, how does Michael Jordan hit a layup? Well, he's hit 10,000 of them in his life. So, hey, how do you deal with a foaming at the mouth liberal, by the way, reeking of BO? That was one of the worst smelling liberals that I have ever confronted. And there's multiple times where you can see the shirt with the pit stains. It's like, it's actually a tool they use. I mean, talk about Satan. It's a tool they use. Their body odor to offend you, literally. That's why they don't shower.
They're like the ugliest people ever, too.
Spiritually and sadly on the outside. So in that particular situation, it was just like, just another day, another crazed liberal. I was expecting it. Sadly, it's just I'm used to it.
We've had people like that protesting our church for like 3 years straight, and they're gross. It's awful looking at them, seeing them. Having to interact. And I kind of wonder, do you think that guy is like a real person? Or do you think he's just a paid protester? Like, how many of these people are even real?
I thought you were going to go with the NPC route. If that guy's a paid protester, you'd think that they could find a better crop of talent.
Well,
no,
he has a pretty rehearsed line there.
Yeah, he did have his talking points down, but that was a small event actually that I was going to in an attempt to, because I'm actually against the war on drugs, and I've been against the war on drugs ever since I presented myself politically, and so that was actually a leftist event that was it was an anti-war on drugs event, and I was going to go cover it as like, hey, this is a good thing. This is something that you call me somebody that's a conservative, a right-winger. Hey, guess what? I'm for small government. I don't believe the war on drugs is a good thing either. Maybe this is something we can agree on. And I was never even allowed to have the conversation. Before I could even have the conversation, the loonies, like you saw in the clip there, immediately started encroaching and rubbing up on me. And have you ever had that one? This is the one, and I think this is why they do the body odor trick, because they rub up on you. They get up on you. They kind of hump you a little bit. They might get in a pinch or a grab, and they just want to be real subtle Like, so nobody notices, like, oh, nobody will see me pinch him. Nobody will see me hump him. And then when you push off or you fight back, it's, oh my God, oh.
Yeah, that exact thing happened to one of our church members. And then the cops showed up and they cited our church member as opposed to them, who they're provoking it. They're getting on top of him and touching him and dressed, not even dressed really. And a lot of times they use women because women, almost always seem to get the automatic win card. I believe you talked about that. I saw an interview with some other lady, and you were talking about how some lady just grabbed you.
Yeah, it was at the Women's March.
Like assaulted you, and you went to the cop, and you said that she admitted that she assaulted you to the cop, and he still didn't even care. Whereas, the opposite is never ever going to be prosecuted. They don't really care.
Yeah.
And it's just they know what game they're playing. They want to just get in your face and get you to just react and then use that against you. And it's kind of it's a tactic that they like to employ.
Yeah.
But let's be clear about that.
Go ahead.
Because, there should be different rules for men and women. Men and women are different. There should be different societal and civilization and cultural norms for men and women. We aren't the ones that destroyed that. That was the left. The feminists did that. We're just living in the world that they created. Now, in fairness, that woman, despite the officer not arresting her that day, I did press charges and I did win in court. And she now has sexual assault on her record. And I won that court case. But I went to 4 straight women's marches and was assaulted 4 straight years.
Yeah.
And every time I was assaulted, it happened right in front of a police officer and they did nothing. And quite frankly, the only reason why I think that girl ended up getting arrested and charged was because it was sexual in nature and she did brag about it on camera. But I've been spat on camera, showed it to police, they wouldn't arrest the guy. I've been punched right in front of the police, they wouldn't arrest the guy. I've been shoved, I've had equipment broken. Of the 20 times I've been assaulted, I've probably filed 5 or more police reports, and I've had 1 arrest. And so it's just sad that this is the case. And now you see, and they think, oh, we're going to defund the police. This is going to work for us. Well, how do you think that's going to go when you come try to take our firearms? Who are you going to send to make us take a vaccine? Who are you going to send to tell us to wear a mask if you don't have your police making us do it?
Right. They quickly call the cops whenever they want them and they need them, but at the same time they hate them for some reason. It's really a bully tactic. They're kind of like this terroristic mafia that controls the police by threatening to take away their paycheck if they don't do their bidding. And so it seems that now they're kind of pulling their strings a little bit. And of course, when we talk about getting assaulted, if we went to a conservative rally and a leftist showed up and he got assaulted, it would be on every media station. Everyone gets sued. People be locked up. I remember seeing recently James O'Keefe. He did that Pfizer undercover interview, and he showed up in front of the guy, and the guy's like throwing his tablet on the ground, breaking their equipment. And of course, nothing ended up happening. I think the cops claimed that they might have actually arrested that guy if he was still there present. But, obviously there's a one-way treatment from the system. And, I'm just curious what's next. We've talked about censorship a little bit. How bad is the censorship going to get? You see people like James O'Keefe getting kicked out of his own company. I don't even know what happened there entirely. I don't even know if he knows what's going on there entirely. But what do you see the censorship going? People like James O'Keefe, losing his own company. You guys have obviously been attacked and had lawsuits and all kinds of crazy stuff happened to you. I saw there's an ADL article where they want to basically just turn off website URLs. Do you think that we're actually going to start seeing that come down the pike, or is this just kind of threatenings?
That's absolutely in the future if we don't start moving the ball the right way. And the situation in Ukraine and what ends up happening in the next 2 years is going to be extremely important as to which way this goes. In the global government, censorship will be the norm, a lot like what you have in China. But what we are seeing now is the parallel economy is being built. And I think censorship is actually taking some major blows right now. Elon Musk buying Twitter, reinstating a bunch of accounts. It's not perfect. I haven't had my official account back. Obviously, Infowars Alex Jones, but it's better than it was. At least there's some pushback there. There are competitors that are built and operating now, like Rumble, where I'm allowed to exist, and Getter, where I'm allowed to exist. And so we're building the parallel economy, but it could all be shut off. It could all be shut down tomorrow. But if we're allowed this free market for the foreseeable future, eventually the censorship battle will be lost by the left. Now, the issue is narrative control. And they've really focused on the internet lately because this is where the youth goes. It was a lot easier to have narrative control on television, specifically 50 years ago when you only had one network and then three networks, and they would all say the same thing. Well, the Murdochs came around and created Fox News. Rush Limbaugh came around and created the Rush Limbaugh Show, and that kind of created the parallel economy of political talk, and that kind of created the whole new economy of conservative media. And so the narrative control is they want you to only see what Joe